And welcome, everybody, to episode 64 of the Paws Up podcast. We've had some great episodes with football players these past few weeks. We had Reggie Peterson on not that long ago, Coach Mike McIntyre for episode 60. That was a fun one. We keep the football player aspect of the show going today with tight end from FIU Football, formerly a tight end for the Air Force Academy, not to mention just Colorado native Rocky Beers. Rocky, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Feeling good after a little beach workout this morning with the boys. Had a good time, got a little wet, played some dodgeball. It was a lot of fun. Having a great day. How about you guys?
Oh, man, it's been great. Yeah, man, it's been super fun. Like I said, there's always a lot of hype when we get people from the football team on the show. We want to keep that going today. So, Rocky, I want to start off by asking you about your time just growing up in Colorado. You know, you came from a pretty athletics-oriented family, right? Your sister, Reagan Beers, playing basketball at Oregon State, and, of course, your brother, Rowdy Beers, who also pursued football just like you. So, I mean, I just want to know what sparked this interest in sports as a family, and when did you start taking it seriously?
I would have to say it all came from the parents from an early age. I mean, we always grew up playing basketball, playing tag. I mean, you name it. We were playing soccer, flag football. I can remember specifically in Illinois growing up, we would play outside for hours, shooting hoops on our little gorilla hoop. And we would play out, we'd get the floodlights out, and we'd do knockout and 3v3 for hours, probably to like midnight some nights. And that's really where all the competitive juices started flowing. And then from there, we moved to Colorado, and me and Rowdy got into football pretty heavily. And then my sisters got into basketball pretty heavily. And we're all close in age. So there's four of us in 4 years. And that kind of helps with the sports side of things. We always used to play in the cul-de-sac, just a bunch of neighborhood games and soccer, basketball, football. We play it all. So it was nice having siblings growing up, and that's where the juices for athleticism started flowing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And speaking of which, you know, it's very convenient that both you and Rowdy primarily played at the tight end position as you two were growing up and played at Valor Christian. You know, I just want to know, what did you teach each other, either intentionally or maybe even unintentionally, about how you would approach and take part in the position and just the game in general?
Well, he taught me that you can't always talk the talk. Sometimes you have to let your play talk for you. And because sometimes it would get heated at practices when I'm trying to coach them up, and sometimes it's just easier to demonstrate and show others how to do the right thing rather than try to talk to them about it all the time. And he taught me to just kind of find joy in every day. He'd always make me laugh. He'd frustrate me at times too, but man, he was always there to make me smile, and we always had a good laugh together. So definitely keeping the fun in the day-to-day grind.
Talk to us a little bit about your decision to go to Air Force. And, you know, for those that aren't aware about it, Air Force is definitely an interesting school, like Navy, you have Army, where I believe after your time at the school, you do have to go into the military. Just talk to us about making that decision, knowing what would have ensued after your time there. And, you know, eventually you obviously go to FIU, but just talk about your decision to go to Air Force.
So I graduated in 2020, and that was at the height of COVID. I think it started March of my senior year, and I hadn't been recruited at all for either basketball or football. And Air Force, by the grace of God, hit me up through my high school head coach for basketball. He had some connections, so the head coach there at Air Force, Coach Scott, talked to me, and he offered me. So I went to the prep school, which is not the academy. It's kind of like it's a preparatory school for what they call the Hill. It's like a separate little school on base. So I went to the preparatory school from 2020 to 2021. And there I played basketball, and somehow I got on the football team. There was a COVID kid that dropped out, and he was the only tight end there. And then I said I can play tight end, and I offered myself up, and they said, sure, we can use you. And then that's how I got on the football team. I didn't play two sports very long, maybe like a couple months at the preparatory school. And then I got up to the hill and it wasn't going to work out. It was just too big of a time commitment between my military rigors and academic rigors. It was going to be too much. So I just decided to pursue football. And the academy is different for sure. They like to say that the military takes a backside and schooling takes a backside, but that really takes precedence over your sports there for sure. You're there for military and you're there for academics and you're there to become an officer, and you're just kind of doing sports on the side. But I made a lot of good friends there, and it's definitely a time commitment, both during and after. You have to do 4 or 5 years after you graduate. And then if you want to be a pilot, which I did at the time, I would have had to do 10 years, 10 to 12 years, including training. Yeah. And I got to into my sophomore year, and I was looking at it, and I said, there were some good players in front of me at the tight end position. I said, I'm probably not going to play here, and I should probably look elsewhere. And you don't have to commit your time until you start the first day of your junior year. So then I got out after my sophomore year, and I don't owe the academy anything. So I got out scot-free, I guess you could say, and came down here and played.
So, during your time there as well, you played a little bit of defense. I believe you had a couple total tackles. You had a forced fumble. Just what prompted the change to go to defense, and eventually what made you go back to offense?
Oh, at Air Force? Oh, yeah. I was never on defense, actually. I was just on special teams. I was on kickoff. That's how I made my money, was on special teams. That was the only way I was going to be able to travel, and I just went crazy. So you got to play with the screw loose on kickoff, and that's where I could find my niche. And yeah, that forced fumble was against UNLV at Las Vegas, which is a sick stadium, by the way. We got to play at the Raiders Stadium. Yeah, and I punched the ball out. I think I actually got concussed on that play, and I missed the next week. But yeah, it was fun.
And for you, obviously a cool experience at Air Force, but there for a couple of seasons, and you're in the portal, and all of a sudden you come to FIU, and really looking at that. So we knew about your brother Rowdy committing to FIU, and then later down the line we see that you come to town and you come to FIU. Talk a little about that process, where I think we heard Rowdy come in, and then you come into the scene, and you're stepping foot on campus with your brother.
Yeah. He got recruited, and he was talking to me about it. He said, hey, I really think I want to go to Florida and try my luck down in Florida, go to school down there, enjoy the weather. And at that time, I hadn't really convinced myself to leave the academy yet. And then the more he talked to me about it, and the more we talked about our options, I was like, I have enough money saved up where if I wanted to, I could walk on with you. And that's where I decided to say, hey, you don't really ever get the opportunity to go to college and play football with your brothers that often. Yeah. So I was like, I think I have to take this opportunity. So I walked on here and used my savings, and then earned a scholarship in the spring of this year.
There we go. And for you, talk about the opportunity to come to Florida and play with your brother. And that's a very big difference than Colorado, which the weather is two different scenarios. Talk a little about the difference playing out there in Colorado, and also the culture, and coming down here to South Florida. You guys were at the beach this morning, so definitely two different things. But what was it like, having to come from Colorado and now, the sunny weather in Miami?
Yeah, well, Colorado is pretty sunny, but there's snow, unlike Florida. And Air Force is right at the base of the mountain, and it gets pretty cold with the wind coming over the mountains, and practices can get pretty brutal, usually like 15 or 20 degrees from November on, October even on. And it's definitely nicer down here weather-wise. I don't mind the humidity that much. I don't mind working up a good sweat. But Colorado the altitude is hard, but also the humidity is hard down here. So I feel like it's about the same with humidity or altitude. You pick your poison. It's definitely a lot hotter down here, though, for sure. But the sun up there is more intense in Colorado, believe it or not. You can get sunburned in like 30 minutes. You're a mile closer to the sun. So, but if I had a preference, I would definitely prefer to practice down here. The grass down here is a lot nicer than up at the academy. I love the grass down here. that was one huge thing that I noticed is the grass is perfect here.
Wow. You can really get sunburned in Colorado, huh? I never thought about
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're so much closer, and you go hiking for a day, and you'll get cooked.
All right, I'll take your word for it. Rocky, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, or should I say, the beer in the fridge. We got to talk about the name, right? When you and Rowdy committed, I'll never forget the day. Your names were plastered on a bunch of meme pages online. You got Barstool Sports, College Sports Daily talking about the name. It was funny from our point of view, but did you have a feeling when that happened that you and your brother would start to trend on social media for that?
I don't. I knew he would trend more than me because like he picked up notoriety very quickly. Like his name got out there and it just caught fire. And I looked one day and there was like 40,000 likes on one of the things that he was posted in. And from there on, I was like, oh, if they find out about both of us going to the same school, they're gonna have a heyday. And I thought it was hilarious. Him making the all teams name. It was pretty cool.
Did you committed in the spring, right?
Here? No, I committed here like right after the spring. So like the beginning of summer, I committed like June 1st and I got out here June 2nd, I think.
For sure. So, yeah. Johnny, you're up.
Oh, I know. I was trying to think, but did Pat McAfee make something about that? I'm trying to think if he did. Or there was somebody that promoted you guys together on the, I'm trying to think who did it. Maybe
I can't remember who did
or
that.
Somebody that posted you guys together. I'm trying to find it.
Wasn't it Dave Portnoy, a Barstool?
Was it Barstool? Maybe it was Portnoy.
Yeah, Barstool for sure posted something. Yeah, I
remember. I think it was like General Booty, and then a couple swipes over was Rowdy.
Yeah, there
you go.
And we talked a little about the differences between Air Force and FIU. You talked about the weather, the altitude, but just more looking at FIU and what we have in South Florida. Obviously, great weather, great place to train. But talk a little about what makes FIU stand out. Whether it's the coaching staff that you have here, and things that really maybe make FIU a great place to play football, especially.
Yeah, I love playing for Coach Mack. He's very invested into the players, and he's trying to make something special here. We're trying to establish a culture, which I really like, being a part of something new and trying to establish that. I think what makes playing down at FIU more coveted than other schools is that we have so many people that come in, like NFL scouts are always at our practices. Yeah. So we're always seeing, there's definitely we have no shortage on eyes of who's looking at us. And we definitely have some good connections down here being in the Miami area. You just always have people passing through and coming to our practices and our games. And I think that's definitely important to have. Because, you could go to another smaller school and you might be able to ball out there. But like here at FIU is a smaller school, but you have tons of NFL scouts coming through almost every other practice, it seems like.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously Rowdy's not with the team anymore. He's now pursuing something even bigger, I would say, being a firefighter, which is super cool. But, obviously during his time here and your time now, when you guys kind of were together here, just, what do you say? There was a friendly rivalry between you guys because obviously you guys are fighting for the same position. You guys are in the same position group. Now during spring now, where was that rivalry at,
Yeah, the rivalry wasn't as intense on the field. He kind of understood that I was 3 years older than him, and that he kind of had to learn under me. But the rivalry was definitely there off the field. We're avid pickleballers, and pickleball would get intense.
There we go.
Rocket League and Mario Kart. Mario Kart gets intense, man. There was definitely some water bottles and shoes thrown at the wall, some holes put in the wall from Mario Kart.
What's your favorite course on Mario Kart?
It's got to be Rainbow Road or Moonview. Only the Crown Cups. Crown Cup is the right answer.
Good picks.
Yeah.
So you talk a little more about the tight end room and a lot of talent. Obviously, a guy like Josiah Meehan, who another big part of the program. A guy like Jackson McDonald, who had a really good year last year. Talk a little more about the tight end room, whether it's some young guys and a guy like you. What do you see with this group this year?
we definitely lost a lot of guys and we were thin, but we recruited a kid from ECU, Tony Anthony Ferguson. I'm liking what I'm seeing out of him. He was moving good at the beach today. Got to work on his 6-pack a little bit, but I love his frame, and he's moving really well. He's going to be a good addition. Dylan Redmond will be a good addition once he puts on some weight. He moves really well. He's got good hands because he transferred from wide receiver. He's been on the team for a year, but he just moved positions. Braden Staten is somebody to look forward to as well. He's going to be fighting for third string, fourth string with whoever. He's got really good route running too, and he's learning how to block. I mean, he's only a freshman going into his sophomore year, so he's got some huge upside potential. And then Josiah Meeman has just been a huge help to me coming from Titan University over at Iowa. He's kind of helped me along the way, push me, tell me when my routes are trash, which is every other day, and tell me what I need to work on and when to sit my butt down and when to duck waddle and where to put my hands and all that. He's been a huge help in my development.
Looking over at last season, you guys 4-8 for the second year in a row under the Coach Mack era. Just maybe take us through what you may have seen on the field. I think you kind of started to play a lot more towards the middle of the season, at least on the offense. Towards the end, you made that you got your first career touchdown against Western Kentucky there at the end of the season. Made a big impact again in that Arkansas game. Just kind of talk to us about what you saw, maybe the highs and the lows of the season, and how maybe you guys were able to learn from that to set yourselves up for a strong 2024 season.
Yeah. I guess we'll start with the low so we can end on a high note. But the low, I would say, is coming out of halftime. We weren't very good in the third quarter stretch. Kind of like that third quarter stretch, we struggled in the middle. We'd come out decently hot, and we'd end games pretty hot is kind of how we trended. But we need to figure out how to win those middle halves and keep our mindset in it through halftime. And then we're a young team, so I mean, you always got to work on the locker room chemistry, and I've seen that build a lot over the past year. We definitely have a lot more camaraderie. Just like knowing your teammates, it's huge. I mean, I didn't even know probably half the kids going through the season, and now I know almost everybody's name, which is huge. And we don't have as many transfers leaving or coming in, and that's also big for team camaraderie. The highs that I saw last year. We can be explosive at times, very explosive, especially out of 12 personnel. And I'm not biased because I'm a tight end, but we went back over our 12 personnel film from last year, and we saw that we moved the ball and scored pretty well when we were running 12 personnel. So hopefully with a thicker tight end room, we'll be able to implement more 12 and just be more fluid in our sets, knowing each other and kind of knowing where we're going to be on offense.
And again, you had some very solid snaps that you were a part of throughout the season, but I do want to talk about that season finale against Western Kentucky where you caught your first touchdown as a Panther. It was a wild play. It was a wild play back of the end zone, but you reeled it in. So, just how did you feel at the time finally getting that monkey off your back, finally getting into the end zone and scoring?
Well, leading up to the play, I had taken a serious hit to the head, so my chin strap was all cattywampus, and I could barely even see the signal. I saw a signal, I checked, I was like, there's no way they just called that, because we had been practicing it all week, and I didn't even have time to fix my chin strap. I just said, screw it, I'm just going to go run the play. We went in motion, and then I was faking the run up to the linebacker, and then I just kind of slipped right by him. They never suspected that we were going to do a pass play out of double set, because me and Jackson were both kind of like the blocking tight ends, and they just kind of plug us in there to fill an A and B gap. But they'd never suspected I was going to slip past them. And then I went up and grabbed it, and I was like, please let my feet be in. Please let my feet be in. And I got up, saw the referee throw his hands up, and then all 265 pounds of J-Mac comes running over to me and just almost knocks me off my feet. I almost got tackled. You can probably see that in the highlight. I was like, oh, geez. And, we were celebrating. We're like, we did it. We got a score, because the touchdowns were needed. The tight ends were needed to touchdown all year long, and we finally broke it. We're like, we did it. We broke the drought. So it was awesome. I come over, and Josiah Meeman wasn't playing that game, but he was happy for me. My special teams coach was happy for me. It was a great moment.
It was fun to watch. Kevin, is it time for a news break?
Let's do it.
All righty then. Here is your look at my news break. Look at all things FIU athletics and just FIU in general. So let's start off here with FIU track and field. as Athlete of the Year awards have been handed out for the 2024 season, and the Panthers have been represented by Michelle Valentin, who has been recognized as the Conference USA Female Field Athlete of the Year. Some of her accomplishments this year include 6 first-place finishes, FIU school records in both the hammer and weight throw, and a gold medal in the discus at the Conference USA outdoor event. So congratulations to Valentine and the rest of the track and field squad for a pretty a solid year. Up next is football, specifically the United Football League. We would like to congratulate former FIU Panther and current member of the Birmingham Stallions, defensive back Ike Brown, as the Stallions defeated the San Antonio Brahmas in the UFL championship game this past Sunday. Brown, who recorded 14 total tackles this season, was part of an efficient defense that blanked San Antonio in that championship game by a score of 25-0. So congratulations to the Stallions once again, former battlegrounds for Alex Magoo. Great stuff there. The men's and women's soccer schedules have been released for FIU athletics. Some very interesting matchups on both sides. For the women's soccer team, a lot of road contests, but you do have some great matchups in the state of Florida against FAU, Miami, and whatnot. And then once again, FIU men's soccer looking to bounce back in the AAC tournament when they get to that point in the season. If you want to read more about both of the men's and women's schedule releases, you can read both my article for the women's schedule release and Kevin's article for the men's schedule release that are up on the Paws Up page right now. And finally, let's wrap up with some FIU news, as they were ranked the second most impactful university in the United States and 13th in the world regarding impact on the world, according to the 2024 Times Higher Education Impact Rankings. The ranking is based on multiple factors listed by the United Nations criteria for sustainable development goals, including life below water, sustainable cities and communities, partnerships for the goals, and more. For those curious, first place in the United States was Arizona State, but congratulations to FIU on the achievement nonetheless. So, let's get right back into it. This discussion, Rocky. Again, thank you for spending some time with us. Kevin, take it away.
Yeah, for sure. Rocky, obviously now in the off season, you guys wrapped up spring already. Now in the nitty gritty of the summer with OTAs, just what are some things you maybe personally have worked on, and what do you say as a team you guys are working on as well throughout this off season?
Me personally, I'm just working on gaining weight. Always got to be gaining weight, especially with fall camp coming up. There's going to be some weight loss with some of that August heat and just long days. So I got to pack on some weight real quick, like coming up on 6 weeks now is when fall camp starts. I've also been working on just overall health in my lower half, just keeping my ankles and knees healthy and mobile. And then also my mobility in my hips, trying to just keep them strong in the bottom of my stance and exploding out. And then what's the team working on? I would say our conditioning. We're working on our conditioning for sure. We're doing grit sessions every other day, and we're just working hard conditioning and making sure we're in top physical shape for fall camp going into the season.
So I kind of mentioned this earlier. Rowdy now no longer with the program. He's going on to be a firefighter. When did he tell you this news? How'd you find out? And I guess overall, what were your thoughts?
Shoot, I only found out a day before everybody else. He had been thinking about this. He told me for a couple of weeks, and I think he told me a couple days before I left to go home for my summer break, and then he decided to tell everybody else a couple of weeks later. All of our teammates knew, but the coaches didn't know until a week before we had to get back. But I definitely support his decision. I think it's for the best. Our dad's a police officer, so me and my brother and my other siblings have seen it firsthand what type of sacrifice is required. But Rowdy's definitely willing to make that sacrifice, and he just wants to help people. So he's living at home right now. He's about to start EMT classes, I think, and then he's sent in his resume to apply for Fire Academy this fall.
What are you going to miss the most about him just being your teammate? Like, obviously the vibes, as you mentioned earlier, were high.
Yeah.
The Mario Kart rivalry. Just what are you going to miss about? What are you going to miss the most about Rowdy?
He definitely pushed me to be better, and he was always the first one to call me out on my nonsense. Like if I wasn't living how I was supposed to, he'd call me out, and he'd make sure I wasn't living a hypocritical type of lifestyle. And he would definitely hold me accountable. He was also always heavier than me for some reason, so he always pushed me to gain weight. If I saw him on the scale at 242, I knew I had to get up to 242. So gonna miss the eating competition and constantly eating, trying to be heavier than him.
When you get hit by too many shells in Mario Kart, he's like, Rocky, what the heck?
Yeah.
What is one major? I know it's tough to dissect a whole side of the field, especially as practices are still going on. But what's one major difference that you've seen in the offense going into this 2024 campaign compared to last year?
Well, let's see. I was told by Coach Mack to keep my mouth shut. I mean, we got everything under wraps for this next season, so I'm gonna try to think of how I can do this. One new thing that we got. Let's see. We have good total field concepts. Last year we were kind of more focused on kind of one or two man concepts, I guess, but we're involving the whole field nowadays, and I really enjoy that. It's going to be harder to guard, and there's a lot more options we can go with. Last year we were kind of honed in on just kind of doing what we do, but now we're expanding to be able to read our defense, the defense more, so that we'll be able to attack them easier with more weapons too.
One thing we knew about this offseason was David Yost mentioned it, that he was watching every single Kewan Jenkins Miami Central High School football game, and a lot of the players were involved with it as well and watching it. How much were you involved in maybe watching some of those highlights, maybe to learn a little bit more about Kewan and what he did at Miami Central, as well as maybe you translate that to what the offense could look like in 2024?
Me personally, I wasn't invited to those meetings, so I guess I don't have the clearance for that. But I did hear those rumors going around that they looked at all of his strong points, and we're gonna emphasize our offense around his strong points to hopefully help him out and then help the team out, because he's a good player.
And as we what were you gonna say? You can go on.
No. Go ahead, Johnny.
I was going to say, obviously, you talk about fall camps approaching, late July, ending early August, and all of a sudden the season's, here before you know it. And obviously, this is a very exciting schedule. You look at, Power 5 match against Indiana first week. We got the Shule Bowl rivalry resuming later that time, and then you got conference play. What matchups are you excited for personally, and how excited are you to get the season going, just knowing how this is an opportunity to try to get back to a bowl berth this year?
I'm really excited for Indiana. I'm excited to play a Power 5 school, and my whole family's going to be there, and some old friends are going to be there because I'm from Illinois, so they're going to make the trek over. And I'm really excited to play against them. I'm also really excited to play against FAU. Obviously, you got an in-state rivalry, so we got to handle our business there. And then we definitely have some unfinished business at least I have some unfinished business with Middle Tennessee. So, I mean, they took away a touchdown from me, and they dove at my ankles a couple times, and I got some unfinished business with Middleton. So I'm looking forward to them.
And how fitting is it? It's going to be the season finale. A lot can hinge on that game. So that should make for some exciting football down the line. I know it's weird to ask an offensive player about their thoughts on the defense, but I mean, obviously you are taking reps against the defenses in practice. Obviously, we had Reggie on not that long ago. He was fun. He talked about a lot of great stuff about the defense. But what have you made of the state of that squad based on what you've been a part of?
They've brought in some heavy hitters at linebacker. I'll tell you that much. I have to go against them every day, and they definitely bring the wood when it's time to go middle drill. They give me all I can handle. And we brought in a defensive end transfer, Gio. He's very good. He's making me have to work hard on my pass blocking. He'll embarrass me real quick if I don't have my feet right and hands right all at once. So we definitely have some good people coming in to help us with defense. And EA is always the leader. EA and Reggie are always leading that side of the ball. And so we're in good hands on that side.
Alrighty then, let's get right into some fun rapid fire questions as we start to close out the show here, Rocky. Again, thanks so much for spending some time with us talking a bit about FIU football. Kevin, I know you have a good question on deck.
There's a lot of answers you could go with this one, but who would you say is the funniest player on the FIU football team?
I'm going to have to say Keegan because I'm around him so much in the training room, in his room, and on the field. He's a funny guy. He's got his little cold tug series going on, and he just always got something to say, some beef to start. It's hilarious.
You want to be on that? Have you asked him to get on in the cold tub?
Yeah, he said he'll try to get me on soon. He was going to do one with me and Rowdy, but I got pushed back once he left. So I guess I'm not in style.
Oh man, we always ask this. Sometimes the answers are usually the same, but I want to know what is the best spot on campus in your opinion to either chill or to grab food on campus?
Panda Express is my hideout, man. It's a comfort food. My go-to is a bigger plate, 2 orange chickens, teriyaki, and fried rice. And then if they're nice, they'll hook me up with some extra chow mein. And there's a nice little space over there in the stairs with some good AC. That's where I like to go.
Coach Mack and Reggie both said Panda Express. You're the third straight football player to say that same response. So
it's easy protein. It's like $10. It's great.
I know. It's just when it comes to the football team, Panda Express, it's lights out, man. It's lights.
Lights out! Lights out! Oh.
I like the clip right there. So one question we always ask everybody, it's a music-related question. So you're out of practice, you're at, maybe in the training room. Who's getting the aux cord on their team and who's not getting the aux cord on the team?
I'll tell you who isn't getting the aux cord is the country boys. We never listen to country music in the locker room. I'll tell you what, we're always listening to something that the defense wants. And the little aux machine is right in the defensive corner, and I'm not going over to that side of the locker room. I'm gonna get shanked over there. They'll be like, get your country music out here, bro. Go back to the offensive side.
Reggie Peterson definitely called out a lot of people. He called out half the defense, and he called out every single player on special teams. So
yeah,
definitely a lot of guys who won't be getting it. Who do you think should get it though?
I'll tell you who shouldn't be getting it is Josiah. I think Braden State, the tight end, has the best musical taste on the whole football team, and he knows every single song. He is a in-person Shazam. You guys have that app where you know the song? Yeah, he's a Shazam. He knows every song and every author. Artist or whatever artist.
We got to test them then real soon. But probably a very varied question here. But who would you say is the best tight end of all time?
Easy answer. I mean, it's Robert Gronkowski.
Good answer.
There you go.
Do you think Kelsey will take it? Travis Kelsey or no?
Kelsey just can't block like Gronk did. Gronk can do it all. The nature of the tight end is hybrids. We are hybrid athletes. We have to be able to do it all, and I just don't see Kelsey blocking as well as Gronk.
And one question I got for you. This is a pretty, a cool story for you. Obviously, talk about your sister, a phenomenal women's basketball player, played at Oregon State, committed to Oklahoma, and she was on an Elite 8 team this past year, which is unbelievable. And there was a cool story where I heard that you and Rowdy asked Coach Mack to be able to leave spring practice to go and watch her play. Let's talk about that, getting to see her out, in the Elite 8, competing there, and really a cool opportunity in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, me and Rowdy had to work up the cojones to go ask Coach Mack we had to miss a scrimmage, which is huge. It was a Saturday scrimmage. So we were going to miss Friday walkthrough, Saturday scrimmage. Sunday we didn't have anything, and then we're going to miss Monday walkthrough. So we were missing a total of 4 days for 2 games. And me and Rowdy asked him, and he was generous, and he said, yeah, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. You got to go. Little does he know they're probably going to go back again this year, so it might be happening again. But me and Rowdy got there, and it was awesome watching Reagan ball out. She played amazing basketball. I mean, me and Rowdy can obviously still beat her, but It's awesome watching her play at an elite level.
All right. Crazy question, I know. If either you or Rowdy Beers did not exist, who would you say has the greatest name in college football?
I'm gonna have to say General Booty. Who names are good General?
I mean, especially because General's a leader and he's a quarterback, so it's just I believe he was the quarterback at Oklahoma, right? But this past season he transferred to Louisiana Monroe. I do know that he's with ULM.
Oh, okay. I just don't know how you can name your kid after like a Dollar General. He shares a name with Dollar General. Oh, General Booty. Come on. It's got to be the best.
You're muted, Kevin.
Oh, muted again.
Muted, Kevin, you're muted again, bro.
I don't know. All right.
Okay, you're good.
Every single player. Who do you think should be the next football player we get on the podcast?
You got to get Keegan. You have to.
We're gonna get Keegan. Yep.
All right. Even Keegan said that Keegan needs to be on the show. So I guess we got to make it happen now.
Yeah, when he comes on here, you can tell him that he walks like Shrek. Ask him about that.
What?
What?
Now that I think about, I'm just kidding. All right. Okay. Well, I have to ask you that. Alrighty, Rocky. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today. We'll like to leave you off with one last segment here on the show. It's something we always ask the players to do. If you have anything you'd like to say to – oh, that was the wrong button. Here we go. If you have anything you'd like to say to the fans, to FIU, to anyone, the floor is now yours.
Viva las Panteras. That's all I got to say. Go Panthers, baby.
There you go.
That was very specific, and I appreciate it, Rocky. All righty. Thank you so much for your time today, Rocky.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. To everyone watching this live on Twitter, YouTube, we had some technical difficulties with Instagram, so if you're watching this a little bit later, we appreciate it. We'll have another episode next week. Should be another fun guest. Can't reveal it yet. It's still in the works, but it should be good. So until then, have a great rest of the day. Go watch the Panthers win the Stanley Cup tomorrow. And paws up.
Paws up.